what's really important is to stay rooted, because the reason I'm still in business today is because I stayed rooted in what I really believed, and nobody can take that away. It is my story, and it makes me who I am. And it makes me also the different than other companies. So I think that's very important, because even today it's about, well, why are you special? Like, how can you make yourself special? Because customers they don't want the same thing. They want the authenticity. They want the real of a company and their story. They're attracted to storytelling, to different companies and their different stories. So yeah, it made me who I am differently from other competitors, and something that could not be replicated by just copying.
Anne Mulaire is an award-winning fashion brand founded by Red River Métis designer Andréanne Mulaire Dandeneau. This woman-led brand blends ethical manufacturing, inclusivity, and Indigenous teachings, setting new standards for sustainable fashion in Canada. Rooted in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Anne started 20 years ago in her parents' basement. Her collections celebrate Métis heritage through vibrant designs, eco-friendly practices, and empowering Indigenous communities. Innovative practices have cut the brand's carbon footprint by 30%, reduced 15,000 pounds of textile waste, and lowered emissions equal to 143,200 kilometers of driving. In 2024, Anne Mulaire received the Sustainable Business Award from the Red River Métis Excellence Awards, nomination from the Canadian Arts and Fashion Awards, and Clean 50 Award in 2025. As Canada's first Indigenous-owned B Corp certified apparel manufacturer, Anne Mulaire champions integrity, transparency, and sustainability. Welcome, Anne. It's so nice to have you here today. Thanks for joining me on the podcast.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you for the invite.
My pleasure. You have such an incredible and inspiring story, having established a name in the Canadian fashion industry. I felt I needed to talk to you and have you share your story with our listeners.
Oh, that's awesome. I love to share it. I don't always have the opportunity, so I really appreciate the time that you're taking aside for me.
Great. So let's start at the beginning. What inspired you to launch Anne Mulaire? And was there a specific moment or experience that sparked the idea?
Yeah, well, I always loved creating with my hands. So the real spark came from wanting to see fashion that reflected who I was, my Métis roots, my respect for the earth, my belief that clothes should be made with care and intentions. That from a long time ago, I was always very mindful about the planet. And that's how the values that my parents instilled in me. So when I was in school in Montreal, and I was doing my fashion school, I was always using natural fibers. The moment that my aha moment, when we talk about those moments, it's when I was doing my last year exam and we had to create a couture dress. And I really wanted to do something in the natural fibers. So I decided to do a dress in hemp. And I was adamant to create a dress that was red carpet, because the feedback I had received from when I mentioned that to my teachers, they said, well, don't be surprised if it does not end up on the runway. And if you had your dress on the runway, you had extra points. So it's almost like you had to have it on the runway. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to prove them wrong, because obviously they don't know the capacity of what natural can look like. So I really worked hard on hemp silk, hemp jacquard, hemp lace. I looked everywhere, and I had sourced some fabric in the US, and I had paid everything with my own cents and dollars. And I made this beautiful dress all in hemp. And they were so surprised, and they could not believe that it was a natural fiber. And I felt like, am I educating you about this today? So that's where I really felt I had a space in the fashion industry. The fact that, first of all, people didn't believe in me, or in the fact that I could create something for the runway in eco fabrics, and also the education about fashion. Runway fashion shouldn't be disposable. It should be something that you're taking from the earth, and you got to give it back to the earth somehow. So what's that cycle? And that mini education. So all this to say, that was the big spark. But it also, if I fast forward a little bit, so I started my company in my parents' basement. And what I also noticed was I remember a moment where my dad was, we were collaborating together, and I had showed up in the morning and he was still in his house coat, no coffee in hand, and painting on our dresses that we had collaborated. And I had really thought through at that moment, I'm like, you know what? We are creating something special. This is not just clothing we're doing, but we're really creating something meaningful together. And that was the path. That's like the big decisions on everything that I put behind the company, and the mindfulness about that decisions that I put into the company comes from those moments.
Your Métis heritage and family history play such an important role in your brand's story. Can you tell us more about your cultural background and how it shaped the brand's identity?
Yeah, so my Métis heritage, it's at the heart of everything we do. Growing up, I was surrounded with stories, beadwork, florals, traditions that hold really big history and resilience. And so I was really honored that I was able to create clothing that tells a story. And that's huge for me. The one question my parents asked me before starting my company, they said, "What kind of designer do you want to be? What kind of business owner do you want to be?" Because at that point, I thought I was just going to be an artist and create clothing. But they said, no, you're going to become an entrepreneur by doing what you love to do. So, what kind of entrepreneur? What kind of designer? What story are you going to tell? That really made me think about who I am and where I came from. The rest is so. I was very proud to use my story and to tell a story through craftsmanship and every way that I could through my clothing. And I find you can see, you look at the clothing, and I personally, I see roots. You see the rooted, the value rooted in them. And I'm hoping to pass that down to generations with respect, sustainability, and community.
Yeah, absolutely. I can really see that heritage woven into your designs. Just like such beautiful, like wearable art, I guess, if I could
Yeah.
call it that. And where do you get the art, and the designs that you put on your clothing from?
So that's with my dad. So this is where I think it's so special because we've been collaborating for 20 years. And I do find is the one of the most special things. He was an art teacher before. So to see him going back to his first love of art, I remember when he was a kid, all his brothers, sisters would be on the farm, working on the farm. And his dad had my grandpa had asked him to be in the kitchen and to paint the house, the homestead. And so he was loving, he's like, I didn't have to be on the farm, but I was painting the homestead. And his dad's like, you are an artist. And I could just feel him, when he was a kid, and just that fierté, like that proudness. And so when I started my company, he was also retiring. So we started just the fact that I said I wanted to keep my story alive and just share the Indigenous people history of Canada, because I find fashion and history go hand in hand. It's very important. So that's what he started doing paintings. And we would say, yeah, on this dress, it would be amazing to have what's a healing plant that we use, and northern willow. And let's tell the story of that. Okay. And then for leggings, how about what can we draw? And we would do these beautiful collaboration. And to today, all the art is made by him. And sometimes we do other collaborations with other artists, which is really nice. That's super special too. So
Oh, that's
that's
so
definitely
wonderful.
call it a family affair.
Yeah, it definitely is. That's really nice.
I was thinking about that today too, because I find it special also because it's his legacy continuing, his education, his storytelling, his stories. And I find every time we talk about something like a new launch or a new design, there's so much depth and wisdom that I gather from that. And that print, they never go away. They're so classic. They're so timeless that it gives so much hope, and just also strength, and just so much love to other people buying it. They feel it. I find that's Oh, it's so beautiful. That's the authenticity of craftsmanship, of good quality products, or, something that has good values.
And so when you started the brand the early days, what gap did you see in the fashion industry that you felt compelled to fill?
Well, this is no surprise, but we know fast fashion is everywhere and it's disconnected from the land. Like we know that from the maker, from the story. So I wanted to slow it down. I knew it was going to be a huge undertaking because a small fish in the big pond, you think about that. But I saw we needed more ethical, inclusive, and cultural conscious fashion made clothing that's made here in Canada. That was the biggest thing. Yeah, not just, clothing that looks good, but do good. And that customers, when you think about it, they invest a lot of their hard money. It's like everybody that makes money, they work hard for their money and they invest. When they buy thing, you invest in the companies. That's the way I think of purchasing, consommation. I think of that every time I put in my dollars in something. Do I support their values? My investment, where is that going to go? So I wanted to bring that back and just to put, make sure that there could be a company, fashion company that would respond to a lot of what the fast fashion can't, and to show it's possible in Canada.
Yeah, and that's really what I love about you and your brand and having that longevity to be in business for as long as you have, showing that you can be sustainable and be purpose driven, lead with your values and not just, that there's only fast fashion as the option out there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so sustainability is at the core of your brand. How did you define what sustainability would look like for Anne Mulaire from the start?
Okay, so it's not easy. It's not always easy. But for me, it came down to relationships and a responsibility. So I stay grounded by listening to my community. That's number one. And collaborating with other Indigenous artists or elders, and always checking in with myself. I think that's super important. What aligns, what doesn't align with my values, making decisions. I've had to do a lot of tough decisions throughout my 20 years in business. And it's not always, like they say, it's not the easy decision is the right decision. And so that has always been very important for me to always make sure I do my due diligence. And at the end of the day, do I still want to wake up in the morning and face myself and say I made the right decision because that's what I believe in? But yeah, it's always about, growth is important, so we always have to do it, but integrity is non-negotiable for a lot of what I do.
I love that. And you say a lot of that on your website
Mm.
as well, that you list a lot of those values to your brand. So I guess just to take it one step further in terms of how your designs are beautifully blend together Indigenous culture, eco consciousness, and modern fashion. How do you stay true to your values while ensuring cultural authenticity and respect as the business grows?
Well, there's one thing so we have a really nice collection in our brand. It's called the Heritage Collection. And those are pieces that we make small amounts of because I believe that scaling, like something special, can't be scaled. So when you think about scaling, you see as soon as a company scales, they lose their authenticity, they lose their integrity. But for us, it's always been important that, we need growth, we want to grow, but what pieces are growing and which one are staying authentic. And absolutely, it's hard with the capital and things like that, but I think at the end it's just, working from my parents' basement and doing everything myself. I was able to really analyze and just understand every step of a company. And even today, I find I'm in the part where I learn a lot of the business side. And that's where you have to be careful because you will be told so many different directions to go in, but you have to be rooted so strong in the beginning where where you proud to be for those decisions not to weigh you on one side or the other kind of thing. I don't know if I'm making kind of sense.
Yeah, it does. Just to ask you another question is, do you have any mentors or teachers that that have helped you along this way, along your journey?
Yeah, I think it's always important to try to surround yourself with the right people that carries us the same values. So of course I've had my family. I have an older brother that also is an entrepreneur, and he's been very supportive in being honest with his mistakes for me not to make the same mistakes. And I really appreciate that. That's vulnerable. I appreciate that. And just to have other business owners that I really value what they do and just having their feedback on things. I think that's important. You can't do it alone. And there's so much that you don't know. And so I always say, educate, educate, educate.
Let's talk about the behind the scenes. What were some of the biggest challenges you faced in the early stages of the brand?
Well, definitely the time I was told that offshore production should be the thing I should head to, because I should cut my costs and then go offshore. The fact that I had the triple threat, which is Métis owned, Métis design, made in Canada, and sustainability, I should just only pick one. So those are all things that definitely was very hard to swallow and just to acknowledge, because yes, those were the things that I was really believing in and are very hard to grow a company where profits are not huge, right? When you make in Canada, you don't get the same profit as when you do overseas. When you have an Indigenous story, where not at the beginning in 2005, not a lot of people were very positive about the fact that I was, telling my Indigenous story, and so it was not super popular. But you navigate through those times, and again makes what really what's really important is to stay rooted, because the reason I'm still in business today is because I stayed rooted in what I really believed, and nobody can take that away. It is my story, and it makes me who I am, and it makes me also the different than other companies. So I think that's very important, because even today it's about, well, why are you special? Like, how can you make yourself special? Because customers they don't want the same thing. They want the authenticity. They want the real of a company, and their story. They're attracted to storytelling, to different companies and their different stories. So yeah, it made me who I am differently from other competitors, and something that could not be replicated by just copying.
Yeah, and so it sounds like you have really stayed true to yourself as a designer, as a brand. Being B Corp certified too is an amazing achievement, right? Because I know that's not easy, the whole process to be certified. Like, have you ever faced any pressures to compromise your values in order to grow, and how did you navigate that?
Well, again, definitely the pressure with the fast fashion, the consommation. So a great example is when Black Friday comes along. It's like, how do you compete with all the brands doing so many amazing deals? And at the end, you have to, and this is where, my mentors have always told me, stay true to who you are. Don't give in just because you feel like you have to, because then you'll just be a part of what they're doing. And you're not going to be you're not going to be your unique self. So, it's about being creative. And when you are a minority in so many aspects, you start to be very creative and think outside the box and find unique ways to look different. So that's what I think I believe that we've been like so good at doing that, because from the beginning, it's called resilience. It's like going through so many obstacles and trying to say, how do I get out of it? And then you find another way to pivot. You find another way to pivot. It's almost to the point where expert in pivoting, because we've gone through so many obstacles. And so it's always, and I'm sure we're going to go through more obstacles, but it's always going to be, okay, what is the right way versus what's the right thing to do in this moment, and how do we stay also true to our values and to what the brand means to a lot of people and to us. And so, but to go back to the B Corp, that was huge for us, because it finally, like, it validated everything that we've been working towards: social responsibility, environmental standards, ethical practices. But, to be honest, like or to be honest, one of the biggest moments that I have that it's been more personal for me, it was seeing customers wear our clothing to like family gatherings and to share what it means to them to connect with their culture. Like I think sometimes having these stamps or, awards, those are great because it's almost a social proof. But at the end of the day, it's really seeing the amount of customers you build and the community you build wearing what you're making. For anybody that's an artist, seeing your products sold in a house or seeing somebody wearing your jewelry, it is the most proud moment that you can imagine. And I think that's what the effect is on a small company versus a huge brand, because you don't have that person that gets affected right away.
I love that. And I think that leads right into my next question, which is how important has your local community been in supporting the brand from Winnipeg and to the broader Canadian fashion scene?
So important. It makes or break your brand, your business, if you don't have support from your community. Word of mouth. I always say word of mouth is the best marketing tactic because they believe people take their loved ones seriously, versus if we could put so much money in marketing, but it wouldn't do the same effect as the word of mouth or having a friend saying to a friend. And also the support of the French community, the Métis community, it makes a huge difference. I'll tell you a story. So after school, I graduated in Montreal for fashion. Then I decided to go to Toronto because I thought, oh, I'm going to get a job in Toronto. That's where it should be. But then I had a meeting with Michael Silver from Silver Jeans in Winnipeg. And he said, come back to Winnipeg. Your community will support you. You'll be able to open your store or your boutique or whatever you want to. You need that support. And he was not wrong. Like it's exactly what I did. I packed up my stuff. I came back to Winnipeg and I started my company. And I've had the immense support from everybody since then. And I couldn't have done it alone. So I always say my success is the people that support me, my community, my customers that's been with me for 20 years. I've had customers with me for 20 years, it's
Amazing.
amazing. Yeah.
Yes, that is amazing. And I'm actually quite impressed of there are quite a few apparel companies in Winnipeg, right? It's like you mentioned Silver Jeans, but is Canada Goose based there?
Yeah, that's where the old
Yeah.
Silver Jeans, where they used to manufacture, now they have some of that manufacture.
They do, right?
Yeah.
And they have their factory
Yeah.
there,
Yep.
amongst others. So that's great. I mean, it's really great to hear, that you're able to build a clothing brand and a successful clothing brand out of, your hometown.
Yeah.
I mean, that must feel great, to be able to do what you love
Oh,
in the city that
yeah.
you grew up in.
Yeah, as much as, entrepreneurship it's not easy, but that's the beauty of, believing in your product, and the fact that I get to wake up every day and I know I'm making a difference because I have, how many people I've employed in Winnipeg, and the fact that they love working here. They feel like a family. I love that feeling, coming in and hearing them laugh. It's one of the best sounds. And, the fact that I'm able to share a lot of my knowledge and also my values to a lot of customers that wanted to transition in sustainability but didn't know how or what. And I find our education has really helped them, even with our return to nature programs, the fact that they can bring it back, get repaired, and all that. It, I hear more and more, oh, this is my first piece and I'm so excited to keep on just growing slowly. And those are just, music to my ears when I hear that we're creating impact. And that's another thing that when I started the company, I knew I wanted to create a change. That was the number one. I wanted to reduce it with the waste in the industry, in the fashion industry. I had done some courses at the University of Manitoba in human ecology. So I had done a lot of case studies about the child labor, the behind the scene, before actually I did my fashion industry at fashion school. So I knew the behind the scene more, and the waste and the fabrics. And so I already knew that we were using it. It was going beyond. And so when the I started a company, it was really to reduce the waste, but also to create fashion in a way more ethically and sustainable way. But but to see customers seeing our company and then wanting to follow and transition into that slow fashion, that sustainable movement, that's our impact. And I said, yeah, maybe I don't make a lot of money in my pocket. I'm not a big profit person, but that's not my goal. My goal is to be a CEO that creates impact versus a CEO that creates profit.
Can you speak a little bit about your initiatives on like how you divert textile waste, how you are reducing carbon emissions and
Oh, I could go
that?
out. I could go for days because I love talking about that. But so in 2021, we did a really full audit of our whole supply chain. And it's really cool because you can go on our site, and when you're looking at different products, you can see how much carbon emission you're saving from that product, water, energy saving. So it gives you real time of the positive impact of that product. So that's one thing. But we also launched a whole return to nature program, which it's like it's the holistic approach to reducing waste in our own company. Because again, on a side note, I always say every company should be responsible for their own waste. So whatever waste you create, if it's energy, if it's tangible or whatever, you should be responsible for your own waste. So for us, it was important to look at a holistic approach and see how customers can participate as well. So our Return to Nature program is based of 6 programs. Number one, it's repair, where you can bring back any clothing that you have and we will repair it. We also have a 90-day guarantee, so we repair for free. And then second is the resale program where, okay, you've worn your piece or you have older piece, you bring it back, and then it's a take back program basically. And then we have our revive and slash zero waste collection program where we will upcycle and reuse waste from our post production. So the season before production remnants, when we've done our big cuts, we have like bags. So we'll do a collection twice a year. It's called the zero waste collection. And we reuse those. And that's a fun, creative, one of a kind collection. And then we have 3 more programs, but that's more on the back end of, because doing these programs, in order to have it fully circular, there's some research and development that needs to be done. So we have the 4th is the down cycle. So that's where we have remnants, but we can't do anything with that. But we do donate to any community engagement or community areas. We just had a company come in, a nonprofit, and they were filling out punching bags. And they came in and grabbed, 4 bags, and they're filling those up. And then these are for community activities this summer. And so amazing, cool project that we get to hear about. And then we also have our down cycle, which is where we have the down cycle and the recycle, and we have Fiber Lab. So Fiber Lab is our team that does all the research and development for new fibers. That's where we did a collaboration with University of Manitoba, and we looked at the biodegradable ability of our fabrics and how do we move the next phase to finding biodegradable fabrics. So they're doing the research and development of all that. And our biocycle and recycling program is where we launched that last fall, and we're going to continue this fall, where we use 10,000 pounds of our waste and we recycled it in these socks. We did socks for the first time because it's universal, but that was the one, our goal is to create clothing, so we don't have fabric, so we don't want to be buying virgin fabric all the time, but ideally would be to recycle your own waste into fabric, so then you can just keep recycling, so it becomes a full loop all the time. And at the end of the day, you can't do that forever, but if you can keep things in the loop a bit longer, and this is great for any customers hearing this, you keep your shirt, you wear your shirt longer, maybe 2 or 3 months longer, it takes away so many carbon emission and also water from the landfill. And that's the key of keeping things off the landfill and to be sustainable. It's to wear things longer. And so keeping into the loop, that's the key of sustainability.
So do you actually consider all that at the very beginning of the design process then? You're probably considering the end of life, the
Yes,
product
that's
life too.
yeah, that's a great question because a lot of people they don't know, but when we design our collection, we always design with the end life first, and then we move forward in we move to the design. A lot of the times, people are looking at a fabric and they like, ooh, that's pretty. Okay, I'm gonna design, and then they go to the end life. But then that fabric might not be compostable, or it could be 100% plastic, which will take 200 plus years to decompose. It could have synthetics, or it could have zippers or buttons, which is totally fine. But for us, the way I design is I always think, okay, well, if anybody had to repair this, how would I repair this? Okay, I need to make sure that it's repairable because that goes into my loop. I need to make sure that the fabric is as natural as possible because at the end life, it will go to this space, this place here. And so those are the questions that I ask myself. And then a very good example is we do a lot of leggings. So the leggings are one of our bestsellers. And I was contemplating on getting a flat stitch, which is the stitch that kind of goes like this, and it's a flat stitch that you see a lot of on big brands leggings. The only thing with these stitches is that you can't repair it. It's a very hard way to repair, so when it breaks. So this is a decision that I had to make. Okay, well, I can't have what everybody else has, but I'll go with my serger because I know I can repair it. And we've repaired over 800 leggings over the
Wow.
years. And that's like leggings that would have been tossed in the landfill and just discarded. But these are leggings that are still in the loop. And so that for me, those are decisions that I make that a lot of customers or people don't even know. It's like, oh yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, totally get what you're saying. It's the flat lock machine,
Yeah,
flats. Yeah.
yeah,
So I guess you would do the serge and cover stitch
yeah.
maybe
So
method, right? That would make it
yeah,
easier to for the
yeah.
at the repairing stage. Do you do all your production in-house?
Yes, we do. We have just across my door right here. I have the whole manufacturer. So
Oh,
when
that's
you come to the
convenient.
shop, you get to see, everything being made. It's almost like the kitchen behind, or how do you call that? The open kitchen, open manufacturer. So yeah, I'll take a little video after and send it to you so you can have it
Yes,
visual.
please. Yes, I would love to be able to share that too,
Hmm.
with our listeners so they get a little bit more behind the scenes look at, your manufacturing process, because that's not really a lot, people don't get to see that
Yeah,
part
yeah,
of the
exactly.
process, right? They usually see the product at the
Hmm.
end. They don't see all the things that happen in between.
Well, we know when we're at a restaurant and we see the chef cooking, it's so special. It's like, oh, how is he doing that? Or well, that's cool. And I started doing little reels with my sewers and asking them what's the hardest part of different products. And it's so cool because I get to hear this too. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was the hardest part of a blazer. What's the hardest parts of this dress? And then they tell me, it's kind of cool knowledge.
So, what's next for Anne Mulaire? Are there any upcoming projects, collections, or partnerships that you're excited about?
Yeah, well, we're going to continue to grow, expand the circular program, the take back and the repair, and then also try to do more recycled textile to textile recycling. But we're also working on opening a boutique in Banff, which is a dream. I'm still working hard on that, but that's going to be something that we can really bring made to Canada, Indigenous owned in Banff. So I think customers will, and for all international, that's the way I see international people coming through, to see what's real about Canada. I think that would be really nice.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then just to continue to do some really nice collaboration with Métis artisans, but those are the big things.
And you are mostly D2C right now. You
Yeah.
sell off your website.
Hmm.
Do you do wholesale and do you
Yeah, we
stock
don't.
anywhere?
Yeah, we
Other
don't do a lot of
retailers?
wholesale. We used to in 2008. I had a lot of stores, and I had to pivot because of the market crashed. And so that was one of my pivots. And then we went just direct to consumer, which again was easier for us because we didn't have to use as much fabric. I could create smaller runs and answer demands on, when they came, versus when I was doing wholesale. It was just a lot right off the bat. And if they didn't pay on time, like it was just a lot of management. But we're looking at maybe opening again the wholesale department next year and just having selective things. I think it's important to try to get Canadian made t-shirts. I find like, again, I know where they, t-shirts, they have to be a certain price point, but there's something being said about Canadian t-shirt, well made. I think we've had the experience of wearing crappy t-shirt enough that good quality t-shirt, we're gonna start to want to embrace that and to want to invest in those,
Mhm.
just other pieces that we can offer. That would be good.
If you could give advice to a young entrepreneur or fashion designer, what would it be?
Thinking about everything I went through, I would say starting with your why. So know what you stand for before you launch anything. I believe it's going to guide you with every decision that you have to make. But also don't wait till everything's perfect to launch. Like, just start something, and then learn as you go, but always surround yourself with people that share the same values and the same visions. And I believe that's how you build something that lasts.
And just, I guess on reflecting back over the last 20 years of, building the brand, how has it changed you as a person?
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely more patient now, but it has opened my eyes to seeing what's happening more outside. The beginning, you're very inwards and you're very focused, but I was able to just open my eyes and seeing more what is happening around me, and letting faith kind of just do its thing.
Are you able to sort of step back a little bit more and be able to sort of look at things kind of on a broader view, macro level than a very micro level? Because I think when, starting out as a new designer, you got your hands in like everything, right? And having to do
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, no, you're right. If I think about, physically in term of my workload, I think another very important thing is finding the right people for the right jobs. The resource, a lot of companies will say resource or HR is always, it's a lot of work, but it's very important. And take your time sometimes. It's okay to take your time for that. But having the right team allows me to step back and just to work more on the company versus in the company. And that's something I've learned too over the years of you're working so much in the company. If you do that too much, then you start not to see what is happening because you're so focused on one thing. And also just the importance for any entrepreneur is to really take at least, if possible, I try to do that is a me day or a weekend every season, because there's a reason why there's seasons. Things change, and it's also your as a person also change, and in order to refresh, to be the best self for the company, because you're there. If you're not your best self, then everybody else is suffering around you. So it's important to be your best self around your company, around your employees, and to take time for yourself, because that's the number one thing is you become a workaholic. It's so easy, right? So, and balance is very hard. A lot of people will say, "Oh, I try to balance it." I've been working on balance for 20 years, but being able to put a few things like hiring the right people, and if sometimes it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but you keep your goal is always to hire the right people. And when you have strong core values and you hire and you fire with those in mind, you'll get the right people.
That's great advice. Where can people find you if they want to get in touch with you?
Well, they can find me on the website. They can send an email there or through our Instagram. We have Facebook, we have LinkedIn, we have a YouTube channel too. So yeah, if they just search Anne Mulaire, or I guess we could put that in the caption.
Yes. We will put all your
Or in
contact
Winnipeg too.
info.
They want to come and check out the boutique in Winnipeg. It's a really nice experience.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't, maybe forgot to say we have the boutique, a boutique connected to Anne Mulaire. I'll take a video for you too, so you can see to the manufacturer.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's connected to the manufacturing facility.
Mhm.
So you have like a design
Yeah, so we have
studio and a factory and then a store?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, sorry, I
Yes, please send us the video of that, or if that
yeah.
is it on your website or
Yeah,
social
it
media
you have,
somewhere?
the location, it says the boutique, a little picture of the
Yes.
boutique, but I'll send you a video of the manufacturer and then going through the boutique and
Okay. Yes, and I will add that to the Reels highlight
yeah,
when I post it because I'm sure people would wanna love to see it.
yeah,
I would love to see it.
that's
Next best
awesome.
thing to flying to
Oh,
Winnipeg, right?
yeah, yeah, cool.
Thank you
You are so welcome.
for sharing your story with us. It's been so inspiring to hear how you've built a brand rooted in heritage, sustainability, and purpose.
You are so wel thank you so much for the time, like, the space that you let me blab.
My pleasure. And for anyone listening, you can learn more about Anne Mulaire and explore the collections at annemulaire.ca at your website. Yeah. And thank you again for joining us today.